Assalamualaikum and selamat sejahtera to Madam Jamhira binti Abdullah and friends. Before I begin, let me introduce myself and my group members. My name is NURUL ALYSSA along with AMMARULHADI IRFAN, SITI SHAFIEQA, Muhammad FARIS NAJMI, Muhammad RAZHIQ, Muhammad ZAKI ASHRAF, NADHIRAH AQILAH and Puteri IZZATY. We are Group 1 of AM2284E. And in this video, we will present and explain about New Economic Policy Malaysia. You must be wondering what is meant by New Economic Policy, or known as NEP. NEP was announced in 1971 as a part of Malaysia's first long-term development plan. Malaysia has steadfastly embraced the idea of when undertaking improvement initiative, the economic progress must benefit all citizens and lessen the inequality. The idea of growth with equity was then the foundation for advancement that was promoted after freedom. NEP was designed to support and fortify the government's effort to steer the economy towards advancing quality and comprehensive development plan. And it is also to ensure that no members will be left behind during the advancement process. The NEP officially ended in 1990, but its legacy continued to shape Malaysia's economic and social policies today. Next, I will pass to AMMARULHADI to continue on the policy problem.
Hello and Assalamualaikum. My name is AMMARULHADI bin AZMI. I shall present on the policy problems. I shall provide the statistic, figures and facts from the study of Johor and Sundaram 2004. There are three main policy problems. The first is poverty and economic inequality between ethnic groups. The study found that in 1970, the poorest 40% of households in Malaysia had only 13.8% of national income, while the highest 10% had 35.4% of national income. For the second problem, marginalization of Malays in the economy. The study found that in 1970, Malays accounted for only 2.4% of corporate equity in Malaysia, while Chinese accounted for 37.4%. For the third problem, ethnic tensions and national unity. The study found that Chinese minority accounted for about 34% of Malaysia's population in 1970, but held about 40% of the country's wealth. That is all from me. Thank you. I now pass to the next presenter.
There are three objectives and strategies of NEP in Malaysia. The first objective is to achieve national unity, harmony and integrity. The strategies is to recognize Malay as the national language while preserving the right of other language with the promotion of unity among the different ethnic groups through the National Culture Policy and the National Language Act. The second objective is to eradicate poverty irrespective of race and to restructure society to eliminate the identifications of race with economic functions. The strategies is the establishment of government agencies such as MARA, FELDA and RISDA. The purpose is to provide education, training and business opportunities to Malays in rural areas. Other than that, there is affirmative action policies such as quotas for Malay students in universities, government job and public contract. The third objective is to increase the ownership and control of the economy by Malays and other indigenous groups to a level proportionate to their share of the populations. The strategy is to increase the participation of Malays in the private sector through the allocation of license, permits and contracts through the creation of a Bumiputera Commercials, which is BCIC.
My name is NADHIRAH binti RAZADIANDERI. We continue with policy evaluation. After the NEP was implemented, many program and policy collaborative strategy between public and private sector, including the effort of individual in Bumiputera, has resulted a great achievement since 1971 in terms of goal of reorganizing society under the new economic policy. The first point for policy evaluation based on policy problem is poverty and economic inequality between ethnic groups. The data and statistics based on the 5th Malaysian Plan in Peninsular Malaysia, the poverty rate has decreased a lot from 1970 to 1984. from 49% in 1970 to 39% in 1976 and further decreased to 18% in 1984. At this time, Malaysia is not only achieved satisfactory economic growth but also increase in economic opportunities for all Malaysians. The poverty rate between ethnic been eradicated with restructuring of economic sector. For example, in agriculture sector, the poverty rate is estimated to decrease from 68% in 1970 to 46% in 1980. The rate of reduction was faster in non-agriculture sector from 27% in 1970 to 16% in 1980. In conclusion, this highlights the effectiveness of NEP in reducing inequality and poverty, and it become a strength of NEP because of incredible success. My second point is marginalization of Malay in the economy. An important part of NEP was to encourage entrepreneurship and capital ownership within the Bumiputra. The government implemented several strategies to adjust ownership of capital and enterprise. The government favored Malaysians by providing financial help or mitigation of corporate formation process. Institutions such as MARA, UDA and other private commercial banks serve as a channel of credit to potential entrepreneurs. In terms of ownership of capital, the Bumiputra community increased from 2.4% in 1970 in 1980 with 12.5%, and the share increased around 19.3% in 1990. Tun Abdul Razak encouraged more Bumiputras to venture into the field of trade and industry to speed up the achievement of the goal at least 30%. Ownership of share capital by foreign residents fell from 63.4% in 1970 to 42.9% in 1980 and 24% in 1988 before rising up into 25% in 1990. However, the 30% target for Bumiputra share ownership by 1990 has not been reached since this strategy is not based on competitiveness. This has become a weakness as existing holdings are sold for short term rather than maintain and add to long-term holdings.
I will be explaining on the policy evaluation of achieving national unity, harmony and integrity. The policy decreased the income and revenue differences between the two groups and strengthened the Malay middle class. The NEP also provided non-Malays with the opportunities such as through the offering of scholarship and educational programs, which assisted in reducing prejudice among the non-Malays. However, the NEP also had damaging effect on Malaysia's effort to achieve national integrity, harmony and unity. The policy's major priority on boosting Malay economic interests led to conflict and dissatisfaction among non-Malays. The NEP also resulted in the skills of shortage of non-Malays who felt blocked out from economic well-being and caused numerous of non-Malays the impression that administration was prejudiced towards them. Almost 60% of Malaysians speak Malay, according to 2010 population and housing census. However, languages like Mandarin, Tamil and English are also commonly used. The national language of Malaysia is Malay, which has aided in fostering a sense of shared identity and belonging among Malaysians. The Merdeka Center survey found that 31% of non-Malays believe their language and culture have been neglected in Malaysia's education system. Implementation of the policy has faced challenges, particularly in rural area where the access to education and language resources is limited. Overall, while the National Culture Policy and National Language Act has helped to promote unity among different ethnic groups in Malaysia, their implementation has also faced challenges and criticism. The promotion of national unity and cultural diversity remains an ongoing challenge in Malaysia, and the government continue to introduce policy and programs aimed at promoting understanding and harmony among different ethnic groups. It shows that this has become the weakness of this policy. I will be explaining on the policy evaluation of achieving national unity, harmony and integrity. The policy decreased the income and revenue differences between the two groups and strengthened the Malay middle class. The NEP also provided non-Malays with the opportunities such as through the offering of scholarship and educational programs, which assisted in reducing prejudice among the non-Malays. However, the NEP also had damaging effect on Malaysia's effort to achieve national integrity, harmony and unity. The policy's major priority on boosting Malay economic interests led to conflict and dissatisfaction among non-Malays. The NEP also resulted in the skills of shortage of non-Malays who felt blocked out from economic well-being and caused numerous of non-Malays the impression that administration was prejudiced towards them. Almost 60% of Malaysians speaks Malay, according to 2010 population and housing census. However, language like Mandarin, Tamil and English are also commonly used. The national language of Malaysia is Malay, which has aided in fostering a sense of shared identity and belonging among Malaysians. The Merdeka Center survey found that 31% of non-Malays believe their language and culture have been neglected in Malaysia's education system. Implementation of the policy has faced challenges, particularly in rural area where the access to education and language resources is limited. Overall, while the National Culture Policy and National Language Act has helped to promote unity among different ethnic groups in Malaysia, their implementation has also faced challenges and criticism. The promotion of national unity and cultural diversity remains an ongoing challenge in Malaysia, and the government continue to introduce policy and programs aimed at promoting understanding and harmony among different ethnic groups. It shows that this has become the witness of this policy.
Poverty eradication and society restructure. As part of the government's objectives to eradicate poverty and restructure the society, special institutions have been established to provide education, training and business opportunities to Malays in rural areas. In the early 1970s, Perbadanan Nasional Pernas sought to gain control of some of the foreign-owned plantations, and Majlis Amanah Rakyat MARA boosted overall Malay businesses and educational achievement. Based on the table shown, government expenditure on poverty eradication and rural development increased significantly under the first three Malaysia plans. Next, affirmative action policies introduced objectively to close the wide gap in incomes between Bumiputra, Chinese and Indians. These gaps were related to inequalities in education, employment and ownership or access to entrepreneurial resources. Hence, both actions accomplished great achievements in development of more balanced economic participation between race and inequality of life. Malays' ownership and control of the economy. Bumiputra Commercial and Industrial Community (BCIC) were introduced to increase the ownership and control of the economy by Malays and other indigenous groups. Bumiputra effectively raised their wholesale presence from 2.5% in 1970 to 11.1% in 1995. Throughout the same time period, Bumiputra had faster growth in retail, growing from 13.0 to 31.7%. After 2 decades of development, BCIC had failed to reach a high level of development. Its development has come at a high cost since it is based on a flawed paradigm by focusing on a particular ethnic group. Redistribution and immigration policy that encourage the import of unskilled and low-skilled foreign labourers have caused underdevelopment in SMEs. Therefore, the implementation of BCIC had proved to be shortcoming in an attempt to boost Bumiputra's involvement in economic activities.
Hi, my name is SITI and I will be continuing these presentations. Policy recommendation for new economic policy NEP. We could not deny that new economic policy has failed to achieve its goals and target in the long run. The majority of people who are unhappy and unsatisfied with this policy begin to feel that way, as they believe that NEP seems to be unfair to them because it only benefits the Malays and Bumiputra. The new economic policy also can be seen equated with the apartheid policy from South Africa. Therefore, a few brilliant suggestions and recommendations come to mind when faced with these issues. As such, quota in higher skills jobs and business ownerships are certainly the suitable solution to incentivize the masses to work and help those who are less fortunate. In the Cambridge Dictionary, quotas can be defined as a fixed and highly limited numbers that is allowed for certain matters or positions. Therefore, a limitation on the numbers of races for a job opportunity in the high salary jobs should be so that it can divide equally between Malays, Bumiputras, and non-Malays. As an example, the government can offer non-Malay position to increase the number of non-Malay people in the administration. In addition, the government can create a fund for non-Malay to start their business. This can help them to have more courage toward the governments and increase their incomes. This is to ensure that every opportunity in high-skilled jobs and business ownership are given equally between different races and level of societies to improve the quality of job for more multiracial workers. Moving to the next suggestion, which is to arbitrate political conflicts. Arbitration political conflicts can be understood as a way to resolve political disputes between parties by using an impartial third parties. From the new economic policy implementation, we found out that there are a few crises that need to be resolved. The non-Malay community is unable to be assisted by this policy that caused a fraction of them to living in poverty until today. As an example, Indian community are commonly still in the rural area, with this community to be infrequent in higher level of employment. Therefore, the government need to conduct an arbitration with all three major races to ensure that every part of these communities is fairly enjoying the benefits from the government community. By having an arbitration, every race can point out their dissatisfaction and problems occur so the government can look deeper into every aspect from different perspectives of cultures in Malaysia. Not only that, arbitration can ensure that there are unbiased action taken to discriminate against others.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Muhammad Razik bin HAZMAN, and I'll be presenting a continuation of the policy recommendation. So the third recommendation or suggestion, to be precise, will be to promote the reformation of educational policies. This suggestion primarily serves as a possible or rather an alternate solution to the NEP's inability to raise Malays and other indigenous communities' economic ownership and power to a commensurate level with their population share, as they were the ones that faced the most economic disparities at the time. Appropriately, the strategy that was implemented back then was to promote the establishment of the Bumiputra Commercial and Industrial Community, BCIC for short, to increase Malays' engagement in the private sector through the issuance of licenses, permits, and contracts. Ultimately, the strategy proves to be a far cry from what was intended. So, back to the policy recommendation, it is an irrefutable fact that educational level had a pretty significant impact on aspects such as access to higher paying jobs and more job opportunities. Thus, it is clear that more education-centric policies must be promoted to ensure that the quality of workers in Malaysia is on par with the rest of the world. So whether it's to form policies to increase the rates of graduation of secondary or tertiary education, or even to promote education aids for the underprivileged, it all must be aimed towards raising the citizens' educational level as a whole. Besides that, monetary gain isn't the only benefit of higher education level, as various observations had found that those who are academically inclined are more spiritually, emotionally, and physically healthier than those who didn't. That's all for me. That's all for policy recommendation. Thank you.
New economic policy (NEP) was introduced in Malaysia with the purpose to solve the problems about race inequality in different aspects. Even though some of the strategies in NEP have yet to achieve its goals and aims, it cannot be denied that there are also positive outcomes in the implementation of NEP. It has been proven that it has reduced direct poverty rates and also increased opportunities for Malays and Bumiputra in the economic sector. However, it can be concluded that NEP, which in its 50 years plus since it has been introduced, should be totally abolished, as it is not relevant anymore in the current economic situation. New affirmative action plans are needed to be implemented for the purpose of growth in the economic sector in the future. Thank you.